Welcome to Making All Votes Matter. This video takes a look at how the Electoral College was created. It's also a quick look at how our federal government is structured. Each of the 13 colonies were represented by delegates. These delegates decided it was time to form a nation, so they met in Philadelphia in the summer of 1787. Now imagine these men gathering in secret. They didn't want anyone to know what they were doing. They didn't want any news leaking out. Now does that sound familiar? So they met in secret and had the windows nailed shut so nobody else could hear them. Now imagine what that's like. It's a hot summer. The room is hot and stuffy. There's no air conditioning. And remember, the windows are nailed shut. It didn't take a lot to start an argument. It was a time of idealism and conflict and compromise, and yet they were able to answer 5 basic questions. The first question was, what form of government should be formed? It was quickly agreed that they did not want a monarchy, no kings, no crowns. These were well-educated men, and they had studied history looking for good governing examples to follow. They looked to the Romans and Greeks, and they were even advised by the Iroquois Native Americans. They chose a federal republic form of government. The colonies, which are now states, retained their individual sovereignty. Together they form one nation under the umbrella of the federal government. This is why the United States motto is E pluribus unum. It means out of many, one. We are one nation made up of separate sovereign states. The second question was, what will the government look like? They decided it would have 3 branches. The first branch is the legislative branch, or Congress. It makes the laws. The second branch is the executive, or our president. This office carries out the laws. The third branch is the judicial, or the courts. It interprets the laws. The 3 branches distribute the power rather than having it be held by one entity. These 3 provide a system of checks and balances for each other. The third question was, how will representation be granted? One of the fears the framers had was of a direct democracy. Now that may surprise you, but history had shown that a direct democracy soon gives way to mob rule and tyranny. How could representation be fair? Would each colony be represented only by its people? Would each colony be represented by its size? What form of representation should they have? The delegates agreed to what is known as the Great Compromise. They agreed that Congress would have 2 chambers, a bicameral Congress. The House of Representatives represents the people. The Senate represents the states. And each state, large or small, would have equal representation. That is why each state gets 2 senators to represent it. The fourth question was, what can we trust to hold it all together? History has shown that our leaders can be quite argumentative. Can we trust them? The framers put all of their decisions down on paper. It's called the United States Constitution, and our Constitution holds it all together. Our government leaders pledged their allegiance to it. The Constitution divides the powers and provides the checks and balances to limit fraud and corruption. All of this brings us back to a final question. Who should pick a president? As you can imagine, there was a lot of conflict over that concern. Some said that the senators should pick the president. After all, they would know best what kind of person was needed. Certainly they thought it wouldn't be wise to just let the people decide, now would it? Others pointed out that a better democracy would be realized if the people did decide, but they limited who could vote. They decided that only men could vote. Only white men could vote. Only white men who owned property could vote. It wasn't our finest hour. More democratic elections would come later. Presidential elections are now open to every registered voter. All eligible voters should vote. The 15th Amendment to the Constitution passed in 1870 to allow blacks to vote. It took another 50 years to let women vote. The 19th Amendment was passed in 1920. Today, all registered citizens who are 18 years or older can vote for a president. Please tell others about these videos. Check out the website at www.equalvoicevoting.com. Let's make all votes matter. Thank you.